Hello. Hello, Facebook land. From Julie's page, I'm Leslie, and I am the guest speaker today for Julie's Dharma Talk Tuesday. We have had such a good time. Julie and I have been talking about this for quite a while and preparing for the message that she really wanted me to share with her audience. Oh, hi, Giselle. Good to see you. So today, one of a conversation that Julie and I have started last week was about manifesting energy and what can end up getting in the way of manifesting when we're doing all the things right. So there's always strategies to do things. There's always, formulas and experts are recommending doing this and that. You can put anything on YouTube and find out how to do it. Of course, Google. There's just a number of resources in finding the actual tactics and strategies of getting to an achieved goal. So today we're focused on manifesting in general, and certainly that can include money, that can include relationships, that can include good outcomes. But when the strategies aren't working, then Julie and I have had this conversation over, again, the past several weeks regarding what can be in the way of that that's really like below the surface, something that's underlying. And so we have lots of funny stories that we had talked about, but in order to really land this point, then I wanted to bring up a few just like a few analogies that could be able to demonstrate what's happening. So within the energetic realm, the energetic manifesting realm, there are lots of similarities to the physical realm. And in the physical realm, the first analogy that I'm going to use is, for instance, the fridge. So I don't know if anyone has ever opened their fridge and felt like something just wasn't right. There's like a smell. There's something happening in the fridge. It's not good. You're kind of looking around, pull something out, throw it in the trash. And then a few hours later, come back, the smell's not gone. And I don't know if this has happened to anybody else, but it, occasionally happens, right? So I had this happen a few months ago in that I was like, what is wrong? Like, what is wrong in my fridge? It's just gross. So I kept pulling a few things out and it didn't go away. And like this was only maybe a space of, I would say 6 to 12 hours. And it really got to the point, like after 12 hours where I'm freaking out. Like I cannot handle opening my fridge and having any sort of smell coming out of it. It needs to be fresh and clean. And so then, I really dig in, I go into the fridge and I pull out, I look through absolutely everything. And lo and behold, I found there was some to-go that was behind something else and it needed to be gone. So threw it away, got it out of the house. And then within a matter of like a really short amount of time, then the fridge is fresh and clean again. So when we're looking at this type of analogy in the like how disturbing it is, I had to get to a point of like being really, really rigorous on checking absolutely everything in my fridge and seeing what needed to be thrown away and then getting rid of it. So that took more time than I would have liked. It was somewhat inconvenient, but it was a really urgent thing that needed to happen because I wasn't okay with the smell coming out of my fridge. So when we talk about this from the energetic realm, then it happens that that similar things can happen energetically where something will like go bad or something's like it needs to get out energetically. And then when we're not getting results, that can be similar to kind of like the stench, right? It can be a little bit like the smell of something that's like, it's really painful and it's really uninteresting for us to, it's just not acceptable is what it comes down to. And that there needs to be a deeper process of going in and finding what needs to get rid of. So I would love to hear from those who are on right now and just checking in. Hi, Carla. Hi, Amy and Russ and Audrey. Go ahead, say you're hurt, say where you're from. I'd love to have some engagement. It's where everyone's coming in from all over the country. And can anyone relate to this? Has anyone had this happen in your fridge? Has anybody ever had this happen? Am I the only person that had something like need to get thrown out? And from the energy, again, when we're talking about the energetic conversation, I'm going to bring up another analogy, so we'll go there. The next thing is that, so every single morning, it's really very, very automatic that we brush our teeth, right? So when we wake up, for me, it's like the first thing that I do, and I'm really happy about it every single day. I love brushing my teeth. It takes a few minutes, and I'm fresh and clean, and then, however, flossing and everything else, I don't even think twice about it. It just happens. And I assume that that's the same with everyone else, but it's really refreshing every single day. Well, from an energetic perspective, the same thing can happen and needs to happen on a regular basis of cleansing ourselves energetically. And so we're going to go into a bit more on what the actual steps can be to dig that thing either out of the fridge or to clean the teeth, or to go, these two analogies are like intertwining in that we don't cut corners when we're in our lives of something that's like really, the smell is kind of funny, like we were talking about the smell in the fridge or the smell of bad breath or whatever, like those two things, it's just not acceptable to most of us. The hygiene needs to take place. So energetically, there's another conversation that we get to have about what's not acceptable to us anymore and needing to get it out of the way. So I would love to, one of the things that Julie and I have been discussing lately is the cost of not addressing some of the energetic issues that we're having, because a lot of the times that we're not going to want to go deeper into either a buried topic or something along the lines that's really beneath the surface, it's because we're wanting to stay safe, and it's because there may be some humiliation involved. There could be some pride and ego involved. And so there's this conversation of it's actually too costly to move forward in cleaning up energetically, so I'll just stay where I'm at. Well, it's in reference to the couple of analogies that I just talked about, there really comes a point where it's just not acceptable anymore, and there has to be a solution. But the thing that we're not quite understanding when we have energetic kinks is that they're very costly. They actually cost a whole lot more than it would cost to actually just get it taken care of. So to start on the three things that it can take to really get present with what's happening is writing. So what I would recommend anyone to do, every single person on here, I'm absolutely positive there's something that you could get rid of. So one of the things to do is to get a pen and a paper and write down what's really present for you right now in terms of your fears. So there's actually, if you really got going, if you were to name 100 fears or more, from spiders to abandonment to car wrecks to deep water, I mean, every single fear that you can possibly think of, right now that's all operating in the unconscious. And when it can be made conscious, then that's a first step. So putting all fears onto a piece of paper. The second thing, which is typically really easy for people to do, is resentments. So at any given moment, there's normally, I would say the average human has at least one resentment of something that it could be a resentment against a loved one, or a resentment against a situation, resentment against a business, resentment against childhood things that happened, or something that happened a long time ago. Again, this is all clouding, and it's like an energetic cloud that takes place that can hold one back from really manifesting some different energy. So it's, in terms of what we were talking about, fresh and not fresh, it's really not fresh to have these types of things within the energetic field. So number one, writing down fears. Number two, writing down resentments. So the resentments that we're talking about, I'm not sure if anyone has something, I hope everyone actually has something that's coming to mind right away. Like right off the top of your head, you have some sort of something that you're like, yeah, I'm pretty annoyed about that. And it's interesting as to like where that came from. Did it just happen today? Did it happen a few days ago? Is it something that happened several years ago? Did it happen decades ago? So there's most likely quite a few that most people have at any given time and it's typically a situation that you don't have a whole lot of control over. So the first step is to actually dig into your own psyche through writing about the things that are bothering you and making them conscious. So the next step is the hardest. So step number two is to talk to somebody about that. I know we were talking about costs, and the cost of pride, the cost of ego, the cost of humiliation, and the person that it would be that you would talk to about what these things are. There's something about, so there's two ways of getting this energy out of you, right? The first way is getting it out via writing. And so, I mean, it's really truthfully coming out, right? You know, you're actually taking a pen, putting it on paper, it's coming outside of you. When we're talking about taking out the trash or getting rid of this energy, getting it onto a page is one way of doing that. The second way is getting it out of your mouth and getting it out that way. But the person that you would talk to, this is really, it's been honored through a lot of ancient cultures and current religions and everything. There's like confession, or there's a lot of different ways that can happen. It could be with a friend, it could be with somebody you don't even know, it could be with a therapist, it could be something. But being able to really go through what those fears are and what those resentments are, and also, this is out loud. Again, there's two ways of getting this energy out. One in writing, and it shouldn't just be one or the other. It should actually be both. And then really looking at the part that you may have played in this resentment, and having a deep conversation with somebody else about that, and taking ownership of where you may not have acted in the best manner. Typically, when there is a resentment, there's going to be a little bit of, on both sides of the equation, there's normally two different sides of the story. And typically there's something that you may have done within that situation that really wasn't, that you weren't in full integrity with. So maybe not, I mean, there are, I'm sure, some exceptions to that rule, but for the most part, when there are emotions and resentments involved, then there is some personal responsibility that can be taken. So again, writing all that down, having a conversation. In my opinion, the conversation is the hardest, to really get vulnerable and to open oneself up to judgment. But the whole point is, we were talking about a bit ago about the cost. So the cost of having these things hang out in your energy field is that they impact a lot of other stuff. They impact results, they impact, there's just a massive impact that can take place in all areas of life when there's like a dirty, not so fresh energy that's taking place that's like underneath the current. It's underneath things. So although talking to someone about what your defects may be, where you're frustrated, where you're upset, then although that doesn't sound like the funnest thing in the world, at the same time, if you can get it out and really shift that energy into a new direction, then it creates a space. And there's like a completion that can come to situations. And there's a new way to move forward, and actually a lot of insights can happen, a lot of creativity can happen. And so this particular process works. Lots and lots and lots of people do this process. This isn't new. I didn't come up with it. I've learned it from others. And so with that, then we are now going into step 3. So step 1, write. Step 2, have the conversation. Step 3 is about surrendering. So once there is, in step 2, in having a conversation with someone, then there is, as I mentioned, humility. There's probably embarrassment. There's probably fear. There's probably a whole bunch of emotions that can come up that are unwanted and everything else. But really, there's also, at the step 3, there's an acceptance that there's good and bad within each of us, and that we make mistakes, and that we don't always do the right thing. And when we carry around the mistakes that have been made, the resentments, the fears, and when those aren't really addressed, and when we're kind of just brushing them under, I guess it's kind of like frost over them, or it's really about, like, we can't, as much as we really want to skip over it and not address it, there's still a price that's being paid when they're not addressed. So step 3, when we're talking about surrender, it comes into accepting that we are both. We are good, we are bad, we are ridiculous in all the best ways, amazing, and we're also ridiculous in all the worst ways and really not very pleasant. And I suspect that every single human has this, and the way to return to a fresher energetic state is to go into surrender to whatever it could be your higher self, it could be the universe, it could be source, it could be creation, it could be God, it could be whatever that is, and just say, here it is. This is what it is. I've made a massive effort. I've written all this down. I've spoken to someone else about it, and I am surrendering that I am good and I am bad, but ultimately I want to be cleaned up. I want to operate from a fresher space. I want to operate from this new spot of integrity. And that's really what this comes down to, is a restoring integrity. And so my background is in real estate, and in the real estate world, engineering, buildings, homes, everything else, the integrity of the structure itself is everything. I mean, if there are cracks in the foundation, if there are issues with, just there can be erosion, there can be termites, there can be different things that can take place that can compromise the integrity of the home. And once that happens, obviously it's massively devalued. Not only that, but it can be massively dangerous. So this is really true in the energetic world as well. When integrity is eroded through just normal, like being a human, it's really normal for us to get out of integrity with certain things. Then when that can be restored in the sense of working with the supernatural realm and working on our end to really go into action and get conscious and present with the things that are causing the energetic upset, then that creates a fresh space. So I would love to hear from anyone who has any questions or has anything to say or can relate to what this is. Anybody have something to say? Emily Foster's here. Hi, Molly. Hi, Nikki. Nikki just joined too. Amazing. Well, I can end. We can be done. It's 16 minutes that I've been talking so far. Or if anyone has anything else to add to the conversation, then sure, happy to chat about it. Not quite yet. So yeah, I just wanted to recap on everything that we talked about. We'll just summarize it really quick. That within our energy fields, essentially things can get just like every single night we go to bed, we wake up and our teeth are dirty. It's throughout the day, throughout like time, we accumulate fears and we accumulate resentments. And when we actually compromise our own integrity on little things or big things, then that also is that impacts our results. So in order to get great results, really getting to the bottom of what the energy, the underlying energy is, and being able to operate from a clean, fresh space, then in doing so, we're able to, in taking those steps, it feels risky and it feels costly, but we're not taking, typically when we're avoiding that or in resistance to it, we're not taking into account the actual cost that it's having in other areas of our like our relationships, our money, our jobs, our, our hopes and our dreams and our Dharma, right? So this is Dharma Talk Tuesday, and this really does come into Dharma. We're much more able to pursue our life purpose and move forward when we operate from a clean, energetic space. And to summarize those steps again, the first is to write everything down, write down resentments, write down fear, get it on paper, and be really thorough. Just like in, it's not like you brush half your mouth, right? You brush every single tooth and floss every single tooth because you want a fully clean mouth. Same thing, cleaning out the fridge, you're gonna get absolutely everything out there so that it's really fresh. So writing everything down, really, really going deep, going back years, going back to even childhood, going into it as deep and as far as you can, then having a conversation with someone you can trust. And the essence of the conversation would be, I've got some things that I really feel like I need to talk about, and it's really important for me to have a safe space to discuss this with, where nothing leaves this conversation, and then going through, discussing all the fears out loud, discussing the resentments out loud, and of course, looking at where you could have done things better. And then the third step is the surrender to either a higher power, to God, to source, to universe, to nature, to anything that resonates with you, and offering yourself as, here's the good parts of me, here's the bad parts of me, I want to move forward. And I really ask for assistance in having these energetic blocks removed in order for me to be of the most use. So, all right, we are heading on 20 minutes. Does anybody have anything to add to the conversation before I jump off? This has been fun. I'm so excited that we could go through this. And I would love to hear from anyone if you have questions. I'm going to tag myself in the comment here. You're welcome to, there we go. So you're welcome to reach out if you have anything you want to talk about personally or privately. I would be happy. I'm just really committed to, it's just such a powerful process to clear that energetic undertone that can create space for magic and miracles and manifestation. Okay, well, that's everything for now. And thank you everyone for coming tonight. I hope you have a beautiful evening. Bye-bye.